Man, did y'all hear about that Nicki Minaj and Don Lemon? I mean, all of the comments that's been going back and forth, her making MAGA comments and him defending himself, her going at him going at her saying that she need to be deported. Um and this whole thing about I guess protesting in church. What do y'all think?
Okay. Yeah, I think she's just making comments to, stay relevant, stay in the media spotlight. I mean, it was just out of nowhere trying to get Don Lemon arrested. Like, he is a reporter. He's allowed to cover the news, cover the protest. Just because he's there doesn't mean he's inciting a riot or inciting violence on a church. So, yeah, I don't understand what she's doing.
Yeah, I think she's just trying. I don't know. I feel like it's something going on to where she's just trying to like cover her bases to make sure like no smoke comes to her in some like on some other level. So she's just trying to like make sure that like, oh, let me start pointing out like the wrongdoings of everybody else, so I can kind of get whatever
Hmm.
like people might have on me off of me. Cause like Chris said, like it was really unjust for her to say anything. Like she didn't have no place to say nothing, and to take it as far as she took it. Like, but I mean, Don Lemon, like he wasn't playing no games. He came back at her hard, talking about her husband, her daddy. I think her brother. Like
Right.
he was naming everybody in her family.
Yeah, I just think Nicki Minaj, like her latest comments recently, has been off the wall. It's kind of unpredictable. Like this whole teaming with Donald Trump just came out of nowhere. And like I think she was on when she was invited, she was on Charlie Kirk's wife podcast,
Yeah, yeah.
and I think she was saying some things about how good looking people were on the Republican side. Like I'm like, what is going on? And I think they had brought up a clip of Charlie Kirk's comment about how he don't like Nicki Minaj. Something like this is just the whole this is wild for me. Like the whole thing was wild. I heard all of her comments recently from the Don Lemon to always just at the UN, everything just being just wild.
Man, Nicki Minaj is trash. Like human garbage. She those homophobic comments were completely unnecessary. She has aligned herself with the Trump organization or with the Trump administration. For me, like I agree that it feels like she's doing it for some reason, and my understanding is she's about to lose her house. Apparently, she owes someone like $500,000, and she has not paid that lawsuit, and apparently her house is being used to pay that debt. So
Wow.
Nicki Minaj apparently, it seems to me that she might be broke, and her pedophile husband and her pedophile brother and her alleged pedophile father are all like surrounding her, or like she has this history, and it's just weird. It's weird to me that like she's so pro Trump, meanwhile like she has this pedophilia circle around her, and this whole Jeffrey Epstein thing that's surrounding Trump, and like that doesn't seem to bother her, but like a reporter going to a church, like he deserves to be called a cocksucker on Twitter and this, that, and the third.
Right.
Like Nicki Minaj is trash. Like she's fucking human trash. I don't have to hear any more of her music ever again. Like I'm so done with Nicki Minaj. Like done. So done.
It's like it's wild to hitch your wagon to a administration like Trump administration. He only has 3 more years, hopefully, and like you're hitching your career on that. You got 3 more years, and then you don't think about like consequences after he's out of office. It's like you just ended your career for 3 more years.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
that's
the thing. It's
crazy.
like, what did you think was gonna happen to your career? Who do you think your fans are, right? Like you've completely attacked the LGBTQ community, right? So like we are off you. So who do you think? Do you think like straight men are out here, like straight Christian men are out here rocking your Nicki Minaj albums? Because like that's who you're kowtowing to. And
Right.
honest to goodness, last year they would not have wanted you anywhere near them. You are not a role model or an example that any of them want for your children. Yet you are just turning over and bending over and trying to be with them. And yeah, I think it is very interesting. And I want to know more information about her immigration status, because if the fact that if it is true that she is actually undocumented in the United States and has all of this rah rah about what's going on, like, yeah, I mean, I'm already done with Nick, but like, this is just even more just done.
Yeah, well, she definitely picked the right person or the wrong person, that matter, because you're talking about a journalist who was digging up all that tea on her, and he was on the Native Land podcast, and like literally let it fly. So that's one thing. One last angle I want on this though is, okay, so they tried to, I guess, or it was said allegedly that they were going to try to use the KKK Act on Don Lemon for the whole going into the church thing. Well, they, for one, as y'all have said, they have tried to make Don Lemon a face. Don Lemon has since came out and said no, he was just out there reporting on all of it, being an outside reporter on all of it, all of the protests and things like that. It just so happens that they decided to go into the church because the pastor was affiliated with the ICE. He was one of the ICE officials or whatever. So I'm gonna pose to y'all real quick, just for a brief segment, on do you think that the church space, like, it should be off limits for protests, or do you think it's a sacred space?
I mean, I think this is another example of, again, Trump's administration is trash, and him using the Department of Justice to just overreach. They're trying to overcharge. They're trying to charge, the Federal Reserve Chair, Jerome Powell. They went after Adam Schiff, so they're going after Jack Smith, Special Agent Jack Smith. So it's just he's using, like, how he uses ICE to physically intimidate people. He's using his Department of Justice to legally intimidate people, and so I think it's been thrown out. But it is ridiculous. I mean, yeah, the church should be a sacred space, but this particular example is just an overreach. Again, a trash administration.
Yeah, and I mean, I kind
I
of
don't
agree.
think there
I
should.
don't think.
Go ahead.
I say, yeah, I don't think the church should be. You should be able to go and protest inside the church. I don't know, like it kind of gets hairy, but I feel like if you are a common sense protester, like, let's just wait till they come out. Like, it's cool. Like, we're going to gather in front of the church. Like, when they come out, we're going to go hard or whatever. But, like, to interrupt a church service, it lets you know, one, like, are you all atheists? Like, are you all not Christians? Like, because then you're not believing, like, even if the person, like, even when preachers are kind of dirty, but they're still preaching the word of God, you can always still get something from that preacher. So even if, like, whatever the situation may be and the preacher's not up to par, he's doing stuff with ICE, that doesn't necessarily negate the message that he's preaching at that moment, for people to still kind of get behind the message and not actually get behind the actual preacher, the man himself. So in that instance, I do think it should be sacred. And then the whole KKK Act is kind of wild to me, just because, like, we know what KKK was and what it stood for, and no one's doing anything close to what the KKK was doing. So, like, why is that even, an act that you gonna shout out?
I don't think that churches or places of worship should be sacred ground. I think this country has so much aligned itself with religion that it has forgotten that there is a separation between church and state. We can respect that, but at the same time, if you are a major leader in an organization that is out here literally killing people in the street and then going to preach the word to people in church on Sunday, it's like, how much aligned are you really with the word? Like, yeah, somebody may get something from it, but like, as a pastor, like, it's wild that you would even want to go to a church where your pastor is an ICE agent or like affiliated with ICE in a way where they're like, that goes against what's in the Bible. Like, we're supposed to love our neighbors, not deport them, not use their children as bait to capture the father and put both of them in detention centers. Like what are we doing? Like this is crazy. And to think like, oh, because it's Sunday and your church doors are open, like I can't go in here and let everybody know in this church. Like, no, your pastor has a direct connection to the death of someone out here in these Minneapolis streets. Like this ain't just like loose
Hmm.
conversation. This man is directly linked to a death. And y'all are sitting up here in this church on a Sunday acting like it's just a regular Sunday. Nah, I'm not cool with that. So yeah, nah. Bust down them doors.
Yeah,
Cool.
and
I'll
that's the
say
part I
this
was
real quick,
conflicted.
and then
That's what I was
I'll go ahead.
conflicted by that part. I was conflicted about because I know they were saying like a sacred ground, but at the same time, I'm like, but people could come into church freely, so that was a confliction in my answer where I was trying to like where it kind of made me pause because of that. It's like, well, people just come up in the church willy nilly anyway. It's not like it's a locked building, so I mean, like for protesters going there, like I don't say it's not wrong. And then kind of to your point, Greg, but like, what kind of assholes are in the church, like listening to this leader if he's out here doing this thing and they know it? Like, yeah, like I said, you can get a message from somebody even if they are doing wrong, but who wants to go in there like knowing that this guy is out here? I mean, but like you said, like everybody in there probably on that same type stuff. They all don't give a fuck.
Yep. I'll say this real quick, and then I'll throw it to Josh for the last comment. I'll give you the last word, Josh. Yeah, I agree with Fred. The combination between Fred and Greg, it does get kind of hairy in that situation, because what's always been weird to me is this term called peaceful protest. Because I always thought that's kind of like an oxymoron. If you're protesting, it shouldn't be peaceful. If it's peaceful, what are we doing it for? You know what I mean? It's made to disrupt. So the fact that if your protest is made to disrupt, it's supposed to disrupt something, right? I'm on that end, but I'm also like, I do believe that the church is a sacred space as well too. So kind of like the abortion clinic where they can protest outside, but to come in there and disrupt things, you see what I'm saying? I'm kind of torn in between that, but I do agree and see why they did it though. So with that, I'll turn it to John.
Yeah, I agree with everybody. I agree with everybody with all y'all say. I do think church is a sacred spot, but I do think when you're doing things like that, when you're that involved in politics anyway, as a minister or as a pastor, like you're gonna always, I think, get that type of feedback. Like if you're directly involved with ICE and you're also a pastor, and then like your ICE agent kills somebody in the streets, like you should immediately think that you're gonna get some of that blowback. But yeah, I mean, it's again sad for what happened to Renee Good. Sad to see what happened again to that the nurse. Excuse me, I don't have his name.
Alex Pretty.
Yeah, the ICU nurse in Minneapolis who also killed. This is a sad thing going on in Minneapolis. We're still praying for those families. But in the meantime, we're gonna start the show. Welcome to the Brothers and Friends podcast show. Okay,
Yeah.
this is what we on today. What up, Gary?
What's going on?
Freddie T, what's up?
Nothing much. Snowed in. What's going on, America?
What up, Greg?
What up? What up?
And last but not least, Chris. How you feeling today?
Yo, what's up, crew? Happy to see everyone and happy to be seen.
Yes, we are happy to be seen and heard because today we got a good episode. Greg, you had a topic you wanted to bring into the light today. What would that be?
All right. So I got this hypothetical question for y'all, right? So like we know how as men, like we want to be protective of our daughters. It's kind of like implied, like as men, we become protective of our daughters if ever they are in a bad situation. But what do we do when the tables are turned, right? When we're talking about our sons. So hypothetically speaking, what would you do if you learn that your son, we'll say he's 21 years old, is in a 2-year relationship? They have been married for 6 months, and you have found out that he is being abused by his partner, his girlfriend, his wife. his wife is kicking his ass.
Physical abuse.
How do you handle that? Now the caveat is that they are in counseling. They have acknowledged that like this abuse is occurring and they're working to solve it. But like in the meantime, like I know what tension there would be if I had a daughter and like you not just gonna come to my house and sit under my table, even if y'all are in counseling and think like we're just gonna be cool without me first pressing you on you putting your hands on my child. So my question is, as men, like, what do you guys do when it's a woman who's putting her hands on your son?
Okay. So we are talking about specifically physical abuse. Okay. Ooh, just off the cuff, I'm gonna have a conversation with my son, right? Because it might just be, and I'm open-minded. So it might just be he got a problem with his jab or the way he weave and bob. I don't know, but I'm like that he letting his girl get the best of him. Sorry, just how I was raised. So, for me, I'm having a talk with my son and say what's going on, like what is like it's because it is unusual. So I'm going to treat it as like is she just like describe to me what's going on? Like, is she just hitting you the like because you came in late or something, or is she like literally she got like a belt and she abusing you or something like you know what I mean? Like literally like you helpless or whatever.
Like,
But
yeah,
if it's
whoopings.
yeah, like are you helpless in these matters? Like she's literally overpowering you. Okay, cool. So it might for him. I would tell him how to stand up for himself and leave because that'd be my first thing is okay. The rules don't change. Look, get up out of that situation if she hit you. You know what I mean? Come on back to the house, whatever you got to do. You know what I mean? But also, this is my unpopular opinion. If you got to defend yourself, then you need to go ahead and restore the family name. Come from the moon and back so you can get out that door. So, hey.
But how will you address her though? How will you address her? Because they're still going to try to
How
work
would
it out.
I address her? I would address her. I would address, well, first of all, I would address her through him. Like, let him do it. If it's me and I know that there's some abuse, I don't know. I'm an equal opportunity person. So, I mean, if you want to play with the big boys, then you got to be able to handle the big boys. So I'm like, yeah, I'm sorry, y'all. I got an unpopular opinion on this. If we hitting, then we hitting. So I wouldn't come out the gate just swinging on her. But I'm
So
like
you a
this.
hitter?
Well, my thing is this. We talking about abuse. So abuse is like manipulation, intimidation, all of that. You know what I mean? Goes into, I'm going to hit you, this, that, and the other. So I'm going to be like this. Okay, so hit me. If you touch him, then you might as well touch me too. That's mine. So there it is. So if she backing down from that, which she realized, oh, okay, this is, see, and I'm probably gonna get in trouble, but I'm like this, my manly energy is gonna come out, and she gonna feel that. So since my son is not providing that, you know what I mean? Now it's a different, if my son is keep running back to her and doing all this other kind of stuff, because I can only help you if you want to be helped. You see what I'm saying? Because my first thing is to handle it like a regular relationship. Say, okay, leave down. You nobody needs to be able to take that or whatever like that. But I'm like this: if she on it, like where she physically abusing you, like the way a dude is, okay, you want to be a dude, treat her like a dude. Even up that playing field real quick, and let's see how fast something change.
I'm gonna push back on you, Gary. So, what if it is a situation where his spouse is overpowering him? She's got more muscle than him, and so in turn, she's got more muscle than you, and so like.
No, I'm not equal to my son.
Beat both
no.
y'all ass.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Hey, look.
She a WWE wrestler.
That gives me even more reason. If she overpowering me and my son, and I'm like, son, I see what you're talking about. Like, nah. I'm like this. Just equal up the playing field. The same way I would tell a female, to do what they needed to do, strategize or whatever to either get out of there or whatever. Because we talking about physical abuse, so there's no at this point there's no talking to her or talking your way out of the situation. You get what I'm saying?
Right.
There's
So
no
your
reason.
first, your first,
That's not the that's not the premise. The premise is that abuses happen, but they're in counseling and they're working through it. So I mean, there is enough talk to get through it. They're trying.
Yeah, but it still might be
you
some
saying so?
slight abuse as they're working through it.
so this is like a one-time incident. Like he showed up
No,
to the
no,
family
no.
dinner
I mean, there's been history of abuse within this relationship over the span of the 2 years that they've been together. I mean, enough to the point that they're in counseling and they're trying to work through it, even though, abuse is happening. It's happening less, but it is happening.
So
I feel like
then I guess with men it's layers to this. So like if she's slapping you, you know what I mean, or is like you come home with a busted lip and a black eye, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, like he got to make up excuses like I fell on this coffee table.
yeah, like, oh, okay.
I like the premise. I understand where Gary's coming from. Like, if the situation's reversed, yeah, like you touch my daughter, it's, I'm going to war. And so you should bring that same energy. You touch my son, we going to war. So I see where you're coming from with that, but it is different though. Like you physically abusing his spouse. That's I don't know. That's kind of gray area right there.
Well, you said abusing. I mean, no, it ain't gonna.
I'm sorry.
It ain't gonna take multiple. Yeah, it ain't gonna take multiple. Look, my sheer manhood, put it that way, my testosterone, the way I approach the situation is definitely gonna be different than my son's. So
I understand that, but
I'm what they call whatever you want to call it, alpha or whatever you want to call it. So put it this way,
right. Like,
I'm gonna tell her what she gonna do and what she ain't gonna do.
Right. But if it gets to a point, you would physically put your hands on her.
If she want to knuckle up, I mean, if she feel like she want to step in the cage with a gorilla, then go for it.
But what if your son? But what if your son is telling you like, I don't want you to react like that, right? Because like he still wants to be with
the same way. Yeah, it's the same way with the female. I can't help you if you we're gonna let her knock you upside the head. You feel me? I cannot help you if right. that's your desire. If you don't want to leave.
So this is what I'm asking. So like if you see like he's telling you like we're going to counseling, don't worry about it, we're going to get this fixed. But he's still going to invite her over to your house for dinners. How are you going to act around her?
Oh no, I'm gonna approach it. Well, first I got to see it with him. Is it okay for me to address this? If I see that he's in distress about it, then I'm gonna address it. I'm gonna address it and be like, okay. And I'm sitting both of them down, like, what's going on with y'all? What's this? Okay, so, and it's almost crazy because I would not do this with the female. So I am handling this different because it's a different situation with the male. Because I would not sit both of them down and be like, all right, I probably would talk to him separately. You know what I mean? Because I would have to have a backup plan because I can't now that I brung it up, release her back to him. You see what I'm saying? And he'd be like, so you told your daddy? You get what I'm saying? That sort of thing. So I'm more or less like, okay, do you need me to address it? Because if I addressed it, I got to go all the way there and address her like, so what's going on that you feel like you got to put your hands on it? You see what I'm saying? And so I'm talking to them in a depth situation like this. So I hear he said y'all going to counseling, this, that, and other. Okay, so how's that going in the meantime? So if you feel like you getting that angry, you need to call me. If I need to chew him out, I'll chew him out. But you don't put your hand on it. Can we make that agreement? Or whatever. I'm just talking out the fly. But I only know one way to address a bully. And that's straight right in between your eyes. Yeah. So if we bullying, that's what it is. If we ain't bullying, then what we not doing that. You get what I'm saying?
I think so my first thought when Greg asked the hypothetical question was to, if they're working on the situation and he's still getting a little bullied, was like, well, maybe they need to be apart. So like you come home or she goes home while y'all still together and y'all still going through counseling, but y'all don't need to be together like on a day-to-day basis until like the threat is eliminated. So kind of just, separate them from the situation. I had another thought. I can't remember the other thought to it. And then, like, I don't know, like, her coming to my house, like, for holidays, I think it's going to be awkward because I'm going to be looking at her, like, seeing any signs of her getting mad at something. Because I'm like, man, because you've been doing this, like, these past 2 years, you've been coming over our house, and who knows what's been said at our house, and you get mad and go home and beat him because something that was said at a family gathering. At a family gathering. So now, I feel like for the next few years, if they stay together, every time she comes to the family gathering, I'm going to be sitting there staring at her, trying to see, like, man, I don't know, she might not like that comment. So now, son, you don't need to go home today. Like, so, but yeah, I think that's how I would kind of handle the situation at first. I know. So the other thought was, I'm going to have to just get, like I said, my wife, sister-in-law, another female in the family to
regulator.
Yeah. Throw my hat in the air.
There you go. You go. Yeah. I didn't even go to that option. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I think, but my first, like, if we're going to inflict violence on violence, I would first go and get another female family member to handle the job. I guess if, like, all those females come back, then, I guess a man going to have to go in there and tough it out because she kicking everybody's ass in the family.
But see, that's where I march on a gray line. If we doing abuse is abuse. I don't do the male female. Nah, if we hitting, we hitting. So should we take that care? You abusing, so
equal rights, equal deserve,
since they're going through counseling and it's not like as active as it was, I'll give it a little grace. Now, if they weren't going through counseling, then I'll be with you, Gary.
So
I got you, and I guess I let me clarify. I would not jump out the gate on her like that. I would have the conversation with my son first to see where he is and what's going on. And then if he feels like he in a, one of them situations where he can't move right, you know what I mean? Then dad the pit bull got to step.
So I think I will want to talk to my son first. Like, I would want to ask first, like, do you feel for your safety? Like, do you feel like you are safe, especially if he's trying to be with his spouse? Do you feel safe? Do you feel like you can? Do you feel like you can still be in the house? Okay, like, are you okay to be there? If he tells me yes, then all right, that's my first question. Second question is going to be, how long y'all been in counseling? Like, if they've been in counseling for a while, is she showing signs of improvement? Like, because if she ain't showing signs of improvement, then I'm gonna be like, nah, you gotta go. Because, like, if you ain't showing no signs, like, all right, she's going through, like, the counselor says, hey, when you get mad, count to 10 or whatever. I don't know. Like, if she's doing that, like, and you can see that she's trying to calm her angerness down, because I'm guessing that's why she's hitting him, because she's angry. Then yeah, I'll probably make sure that she's using the tools that the therapist is giving her. So, like, again, if she's ignoring them and they're not doing anything about it, again, that's the issue. But that'll probably be my second question. My third question, well, not even the third question, it would be more so like if how I would react if she came around the house. I probably wouldn't. I wouldn't, aggressively beat her. I'm not sure if I even talk to her about it, especially if my son don't want me to talk to her about it. But, like, she ain't gonna feel welcome in my house though. Like, it's gonna be the cold shoulder. Yeah. But I'm not going to, like, attack her. Like, if my wife or if other women in the family want to do that, like, I mean, I can't stop them. But, like, I'm not going to want them to do that either. Like, because I don't really agree with violence, because you beating up her is probably going to make her beat up him more. So I'm like, you just causing a circle of more violence, because they'll get back home and she'll be mad that you told us, and now she beating her up. She'll go back and beat him up. So I'm like, I just don't.
Her daddy coming around, and her daddy going pit bull on you.
Right now,
what's up? It's up. That's me right there, boy. I'm like this. Hey, it's the family feud.
Right, but at the same time,
hey, let's get it.
Your son still wants to be with this woman though. So, like, you're ruining the relationship that he's at least trying to savage.
No, I'm just making him realize that the relationship is already ruined because she put her hands on
Now, another question.
So
Y'all
you
just made
don't
me
think?
think
So
of
y'all don't think that relationship can come back from a
salvage.
physical abuse, salvage from
Oof.
physical abuse?
See,
It
that's
depends.
yeah.
Yeah. It's like, was it like I don't know. I got a zero tolerance for that. Like, I
So I
don't
had
know.
a
Like,
question real
yeah,
quick, Chris. You made me think of too.
yeah.
When you just said her father come around. So what if y'all was good friends with with her side of the family? Would you go and address her family? Like, would you go like, hey, your daughter been beating up my son? Like,
You see where you just laughed when you said that?
Yeah,
That's would be the
that wouldn't
thing.
be
It's
like,
like,
yeah,
I wouldn't
that
say
wouldn't be
because I wouldn't
initial.
say it like that. This is
Yeah,
funny.
I wouldn't be
I
the
mean, yeah, it
initial. That
wasn't
wouldn't
saying
be
like
my.
that, but
Your daughter beating up my son.
I'm just saying, like, if you got a good relationship with the in-laws, and you felt like, do y'all know that Jessica been beaten up by?
yeah, and it
I mean, in this
determines on how they
situation,
respond to
you
you.
gotta use all the tools involved. If that's a
There you
tool you
go.
gotta use, that you gotta use that tool. I mean, they're using counseling, great. But I like what you said initially, Fred. Like, you got to separate the whole situation. You got to separate yourself from that situation. So you got to pull your son back into your house. They got to be away from each other while they're going through counseling. I don't know. I have a zero tolerance
First
for
of
that
all,
bull BS, and like, because like it can escalate, and then domestic violence escalates into something worse. So
I mean, we may want our sons to move back, but what if you don't want to? I mean, we act like he said they're 21, so they're grown at this point. So if he don't want to move back and he's still trying to be at the house to make it work, you gonna still force him to stay at home with you?
No. See, for me, I'm like this. I can't help you if you know, if her hitting you upside your head did knock some sense into you, then
But that's
anything
not.
I say can't.
But that's
You
not
see what
the
I'm
help he
saying?
wants, though. But that's not the help he wants. So you're offering
What kind
help
of
that
help
he
he
don't
want?
want. He wants you to just be a listening ear. From what Greg's saying, if I imagine that if somebody's getting abused and is still sticking
Okay.
around and going to therapy about it, and then they come and talk to you about it, I'm assuming he just want to talk to you to get his feelings out.
Yeah, I
Now
don't
he may not
understand that.
want you to step in because you're gonna do something or ruin a relationship again because he's still trying to salvage it because
Mm.
and
Yeah, so
that
don't
might
tell
be
me.
his point, right?
Don't
That
tell me.
might be his. I
Leave
mean,
me
his
out of it.
issue. That might be his
Yeah.
issue is that he's telling you where like you probably shouldn't be telling the parents at this point because you're trying to salvage it.
Yeah, it's like
Ain't no point
if
in
whether it's a
that.
girl or a guy, my son or my daughter. I mean, don't tell me unless you want me to do something about it. Like, because you cannot tell me and then me not have a visceral reaction to be able to do something to get you up out of there to say whatever. And that was going to be my question to Greg's initial scenario was, okay, wait a minute, which came first, the abuse or the counseling or whatever? When it came to me, like, did they come to me and say, hey, I've been getting abused, but we're going to counseling and we're in counseling currently? Or is it like, okay, hey, I've been getting abused. Okay, you told me that, and I got to react to that. And then it's like, okay, well now she wants to go to counseling, so should we go to we go to counseling and this that.
No, this is post counseling. So the abuses occurred. They're in counseling. You're finding out like after the fact, like after they've already been in counseling and they're dealing with it. I don't know. For me, this question was kind of interesting just because it is an interesting dynamic, right? Like I think for me, because my son wants to maintain this relationship, I think it's my job to just be a listening ear and to be a sounding board and to provide advice and let him know, like, if you ever need a place to come or a place to go, like, my place is here. But if you want to stay and work on it with your wife, then I support that as well. But I think I would also let her know that I know. Like, because I don't know, for me, I think a lot of abuse happens when they assume that the person doesn't have anybody, right? Like, you can abuse them and no one's really gonna notice, or no one's gonna have their back. Or for her, no one would notice that, my son's getting beat on because I'm not around. I just want her to know that I know what's going on. So there's like another layer of I'm here. Now, I'm not gonna get physical with her. I'm not gonna threaten violence. I don't. I don't think violence is going to solve any issues. And he wants to still be with her, so I don't think sending the cousins or the female cousins or the aunts or whoever in the family, that's not going to solve anything either. Like I think what two people go through in their house is very personal, and if the two of them have decided, like, even though we've experienced this situation, we still want to work through it and we want to go through counseling to try to fix it, like I want to give them the grace and allow them to kind of grow and fix that. Um, Also, I mean, in my scenario, the person's like 21, right? So they're still kind of young and they're still like learning like what life is and how to navigate. And probably this is their first major real or second real relationship. Obviously, their first marriage. So like, there's still things to learn.
I think
I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to push
let me
back on
let
y'all
me
on this
all right,
21 year
let
old
me let
thing.
me let me
No,
let me
wait a minute,
jump
hold
in
on.
real
The
quick.
21-year-old thing. Go ahead.
So like what Gary had said earlier was kind of poignant. Like when you said as soon as she put his her hands on her, that relationship ended. And I agree with that. Like I have again zero tolerance. Like that marriage ended and now you going through counseling are, it's going to be a new relationship, whatever fractured relationship it may be. But I agree with Gary, that's an end. Like I do not support that marriage anymore. So that's an end to that relationship. So whatever you plan on going forward is going to be a new relationship, and we're starting brand new with this person. New relationships because now we know new facts about this person. So yeah, I push back on that. Like I would not support them going back into that relationship until counseling is finished, until anger management has been finished.
So
And I
what
agree
does
with
that look
you
like
on.
exactly? Because I mean, we know like factually that's not the case, right? Like just because violence has occurred, their marriage is not over. Like they are still married, they are still together, and they want to be together. And so like because you feel that way, that's fine. You're allowed to feel like you have no tolerance for that. But the people who are in the actual relationship don't feel that way, right? So do you
I
feel
mean,
like
it's like
is
in a
it
similar situation with like someone is abusing drugs. You got to pull them away from that situation. If it's physically, you got to pull them in your house. You got to, like you said, they're still young in that young mindset. They this is a relationship that they can still fix. So abuse is abuse, drug abuse, physical abuse. You got to pull them away from that situation.
so I want to make sure that we're clear. So like your choice would be to pull them out, like against, like if they don't want to
Yeah,
go, like
I guess they're
I don't
yeah,
care, you're
I
coming
guess
with
there
me.
will. Yeah, yep.
Now this person is a
So
21-year-old man
go
who
ahead.
I mean is getting beat up by his wife,
Like you
sure,
can't
but he's
just
still
pull.
a 21-year-old
Can I
man.
can I
So
jump in
like,
there on that 21-year-old thing? On that 21-year-old thing. Okay, at 21, I would think hitting is bad. You learn that at 2, 3, 4, and 5. To put your hands on somebody, you don't do that. You see what I'm saying? We smack babies' hand and say no. If a baby, when they get in teeth and they bite their mom, the mom, sometimes I've seen it, in this case, will turn around and give them a little nibble back to be like, you see how that felt? No, we don't do that. So the fact that they're young, I don't think gives an excuse for the abuse at all. That's not learning relationships.
I'm
That's
not I'm
conflict
not saying it's an
resolution.
excuse. I'm not saying that's an excuse for abuse at all.
Okay, well,
I'm
cool. Because
I,
we kept saying, well, they 21 and they young, and I'm like, that has nothing to do with it. That's
I
conflict
think
resolution. You know
I
what I
think
mean?
the 21. I think the 21 and young thing is more so that they got time to work on it, to work on their relationship. It's not like they're in their 40s
Well, so
and
does an
she's still
80-year-old.
hitting
So
me.
does a 70-year-old.
But we don't know because they
A
might just be
relationship.
white.
A relationship is ongoing, and it's one thing if you're working on relaying. I'm with Chris on the fact that once you result to violence, the diplomacy is over. We're not talking no more. We fight. Once we stop actually vocally arguing, and you result to physical violence with me, then it's up. That's why we say when it's up, then it's up. You
but
get
no
what I'm
one
saying? That
resulted
means that
with
you're
physical
no.
violence with
Go
you,
ahead.
Gary. No one resulted
No. I'm
to
talking about
physical violence
the
with you.
abuser. We talking about abuse, right? So the girl hitting my son, she is now, as Chris said, ended diplomacy. Because when she get mad, she's in dominant role now, where she's gonna hit him or whatever else. That means there is no more conversation. So I do see what Chris is saying. Like, yeah, you've kind of changed the nature and the boundaries of this relationship. The counseling is now to figure out how we go forward from this.
But also, Gary, you were the one that was saying, like, I can't help you if you don't want the help. And what we're talking about is someone who does not want your help. Like that.
Then we've changed the scenario. So okay, if my child, because I said that before, I can't help you if you don't want to help. So I didn't know the child was saying, like my son was saying, well, Dad, I don't want your help. Because then I said very clearly, don't tell me then if you don't want me to help. Because for me, I think it's weird for me to be a sounding board for your abuse. So you just want to come home and tell me that you got hit upside your head and been abused. I spent my whole life protecting you.
But at the same time, though, it's hard, though, because I get what you're saying, Gary, because it's hard for my son to come to me and he's telling me, like, I'm getting abused. But at the same time, even if he don't want me to help, I want to know so that I know what's going on in their relationship. And if I see signs that, you know, like, oh, son, no, well, I need to call the cops or whatever, like, I still need to know these things. Like, if my son getting abused, I'm mad because my son has been abused for 2 years and he ain't tell me. So, like, I need to know, even if I can't help him, I want to know that he's getting abused. So that way I can help.
So why would you want to know?
I can't. Because if my son is being abused and I don't know about it, I can I can be able to help out the best way I can outside.
So that's what I just said. Right. Don't tell me unless you want to help.
No. But what I'm saying is, though, like, if I know that he's getting abused and I see, or let's say, for example, I go past the house not hearing stuff being thrown around or some punches being thrown, whatever, I'm going to call 911 because, all right, I know what's going on. So now my antennas are up now because I now know what's going on in your household. I may not help. You may not want my help, but I now know what's going on. And probably what Greg said, though, I'm going to talk to the wife and be like, hey, I do know what's going on, you know, like, and like, if I see anything's going on, I might have to step in, you know, but like, I will let her know, but like, I won't help because that's against my son's wishes, but my antennas are up at this point, if that makes sense.
Yeah. And even like calling the cop thing, I mean, I watch a lot of Evil Live Here on HBO Max. And there's actually just seen a situation where this has happened with a woman and a guy where she was being abused by her boyfriend, and she called the dad to save her, and the guy ended up killing her dad, like while she was in the car with him. But the dad had called the cops on the boyfriend multiple times, and the cops said, we can't do nothing unless she calls. So I mean, even being a father and calling the cops, you might not necessarily get help. You're not really helping. If your son wants to still be in that situation, he's not gonna call the cops because he still wants to stick it out with her. He doesn't want her to go to jail. So it's almost like what Gary's saying at that point, like even if you tell me and I try to do something outside of that, like it's not gonna really help. So I'm just wasting my time. But I don't know. I'm kind of like Chris, like, I mean, because if it was my daughter, like, I'm stepping in regardless of what you want or not. So if it's my son, I'm gonna step in regardless. Like I said, you're gonna come home with me. Now if it's a daughter, like, I mean, that dude just like he about to get fucked up on sight.
Thank you. Yes.
But like Gary said, you got to bring that same energy there. Equal rights deserve equal lefts, right?
Yeah, that's why I say, like, for the women, I get some cousins.
40 and she's like 21?
No. See, this is where it goes down to when it's like this. Don't do grown folk shit if you don't want grown folk problems. That's my thing. Yeah. That 21 thing go out the window with me. Once you decide
what you don't want is your kid.
Yeah,
because what you don't want is your child to end up on in the ground. That's what you don't want.
Exactly. Which is very true. That's one thing that scares me.
But I don't know, man. Like I think we should also be aware of like who we are and our ages, and if our 21-year-old son is really getting thrashed by his girlfriend, I don't know how many 45-year-olds are really gonna be able to get into a fight with a 21-year-old who's actually beating dudes' asses in the streets and like really get the tussling. I don't know if it's gonna work out for you. Is all I'm saying. I don't know.
What you mean? Wait a minute, hold on. So you saying me as a 40 plus 21-year-old man can't
You
handle
can't
a
tell someone.
21-year-old girl,
Can't
then
tell
there's something
someone.
wrong with
I'm
me.
not saying I'm.
Well, first of
I
all,
mean, well,
there
hold
are
on now,
strong women out
because
here.
yeah, I mean, right? Like, let's not pretend like there aren't strong women. Like,
Yeah, there's some
a
pretty
strong
strong
woman,
women out here.
yeah, I'm sure there's a percentage of
So
women
then my thing is
who could
this.
beat you.
Yeah. So we talking about percentage. Yeah, that to me is like, I'm sorry. Then this is the unpopular opinion, but I'm gonna go ahead and say it because we talking about the battle of the sexes here. No, my son, I would have to teach my son a couple things like how to defend himself. Period. Because that means he just can't fight. Because if you can't fight a 21-year-old girl, then a 21-year-old boy your age is gonna whoop your ass. So I'm like
Or he
this,
doesn't
dude.
believe in hitting
You need to
women.
learn how to fight, and you need to learn how to defend. Well, not just how to fight, but how to defend yourself properly or whatever. But the same rules in a relationship kind of are there. Where I would tell him first to leave because I agree with Chris. I never thought of it that way, but I agree with Chris on the fact of, oh yeah, she just put a pause on y'all relationship. No pun intended. You get what I'm saying? Where it's like, it's not safe to be in this house now. So I would recommend to my son, hey, you can do counseling, but you need to be separate because there's physical harm and, there's danger involved in y'all working it out. You know what I mean? So I would say that to my daughter as well. Like, no, get out there as soon as possible. I mean, you can come to our house if you want to, this, that, and other, whatever you need to do. I'll go with you to get your stuff, whatever. But, and y'all can still go to do counseling, but at the same time, you need supervised visits to deal
But
with
how do
him.
you think that relationship will work? Like once the counseling is over, like, do you think so you'll be like, all right, counseling's over, you can go back and live with him, live with her now?
Well, they're
Is that
still
what you
dating.
No, it would,
They're still dating.
yeah.
They're not just not living together.
All right, so then
So
they're
it's back to
dating.
like
Are you? Gary said supervised visit, so that means you're gonna go on dates with them. You're gonna live with them once he goes out and
No,
it's over.
supervised visits meaning like this. Okay, if she doesn't feel comfortable or he doesn't feel comfortable going with their spouse or girlfriend or boyfriend or whatever, then yeah, you can only see them if somebody's present. So put it like this: you go to a public place, to a restaurant. You don't go to he's not coming to pick you up and you getting in his car and then driving. You see what I'm saying? Any type of place where it just puts y'all two together, whether be smart in a public place or carry somebody like myself or your brother or whatever to go with you and they just sit in the background or whatever like that.
Again, that's what I'm saying. Both of all y'all now, because y'all both are saying like y'all gonna move them away from the situation. At some point, they're gonna want to get back to the situation. Where do your comfort level is? Like, oh, okay, I'm ready now to release him back to her. What does she have to show you? Is it just finishing therapy? Like to be like,
For me,
okay, I trust this now situation for y'all to be alone, living together.
well, it's not even if I trust the situation. It's up to the person. So for me, it's
if your
very
child,
simple.
if your child,
Yeah,
trust.
if that's why I said
But
earlier.
your child
If
beginning
her or
said that
wait a minute,
he didn't want to.
hear me what I'm saying. Hear me what I'm saying. If her or him knocking you upside your head did not knock enough sense into you, then it's on you to figure that out. So when you done had enough, then come talk to me. That's why I don't even want to know because I'm a doer. I can't sit there and just be like, well, is she possibly getting abused tonight, or is he possibly getting abused tonight? I can't do that.
So maybe that question ain't for you, Gary. It's for Fred and Chris, who said they would pull their son out of that marriage, but they would still go to counseling.
So Gary was saying if they didn't feel safe in that environment, that's what the supervised visits was for. So that's what I think we were talking about when we were saying, like, so that's when your child is coming to you saying they don't feel safe. Now,
exactly.
I mean, it goes back to like if they're not saying that they don't feel safe and like they don't want help, then it's a different situation.
So for me, it's more like
that's a different scenario.
The initial situation. You got to remove yourself from the initial. I don't think you're thinking straight after you've been abused, and you still want to be with, like Gary said, you still want to be in that relationship even though you've been abused. That's me looking at you like you ain't thinking straight. So that's why it's my initial reaction is like, let's remove yourself from the situation, give yourselves time and space, because that it's a power. It's like it's a power dynamic now. Like this abuser is the one in my mind is like the abuser is the ones trying to talk through you and say, I still want to be in this relationship. I don't trust that situation. Like, that's why we need time and space to work this out so we can all see clear eyes, clear minds if this is a relationship worthy of being salvaged, because right now it's not.
So basically, all he needs is space. And once he gets that space and he comes to you and be like, you know what, I got the space I need. I think I still want to be with her and work this out. You let him grow.
Yeah.
What if if the child wants to go back, I can't keep them from. That's how most
Who they wanna
child
see.
abuse or most spousal abuse or anything like that works. Is that person got to want to help themselves? You can't do it for them if they keep going back to the abuser. You know what I mean? You could forcibly do that, but that's why I hate to say it, like even in worst case scenarios, that's why you got some prostitutes that'll go back to their pimp. You know what I mean? You'll be like, why? If you just got saved, it's a they gotta want it.
That's why Project Pat made that song. Don't save her. She don't want to be saved.
She don't want to be saved. Don't save her.
Don't save her. She don't want to be.
Right.
All right. Go save y'all sons, y'all. We out of here.
Love it.
Oh man. So y'all, I know y'all seen that Drewski video. I think it's been about 2 weeks now, 2 to 3 weeks.
Oh yeah.
Drewski video where he's impersonating the different pastors of the church. Man, I just want to see what y'all think about that, man. Like, so I don't too much care for Drewski, just from other stuff I've seen from him. So I'm not a big follower, so I don't really see too much that he do. Whenever I see his name, I'm not running to see what he's doing. But I guess this kind of started getting so much hype, it kind of made me like, well, let me see what they're talking about. And I actually thought it was pretty funny. So it kind of well, maybe I should start looking at Drewski a little bit more. Let's see. And then they showed how everything that he was doing imitated real life. I just thought that was crazy. What y'all think about the Drewski?
I thought it was interesting. I'm not a fan of Drewski either, but I thought it was interesting. I didn't think it was so much funny just because it was so rooted in what's actually happened. I don't think to me it wasn't even like he was telling jokes or anything like that. He was just doing what's already been done, and I feel like the church has become such a clown show anyway that it just kind of it aligned, and I thought it was hilarious that people reacted the way that they did to that video. They're outraged for it, talking about you making fun of God. No, and that's what's got a lot of these people confused anyways, because he's making fun of pastors, not God, and those are two very different things.
And that's
so
that's what
I thought,
and that's why I said it was funny. That was the funny part. Was how people reacted and how true it was is what was funny to me.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like the reactions about everyone getting up in arms is truth hurts, and now they're in their feelings, and now they got to react to this and defend themselves because there was some truth in that video, obviously.
So for me, it's trifold, I guess you might well say. One, I'm like y'all, I'm not a big Drewski fan just because it's just not my era of person. He's in that, to me, Castanet, all that kind of stuff. I don't really know what they do. But he didn't do anything new. So it's not like I would carry any vitriol for him or even the thing. Comedians, actors, playwrights have been making a mockery of church and preachers and stuff like that since before I can remember. The preacher has always been portrayed as the pimp. The deacon is always the the sly old deacon and all that kind of stuff. There's never any young deacons. But the mothers of the church have to dress this way because that's what they traditionally dress. All that kind of stuff. Whatever. I guess where it comes to me is I'm cool with the criticism of the church because, like you said, he showed those videos that actually was oh yeah, this is a similar situation happened. Look, he wore the exact same suit as this dude, because just like with anything else, the church is not a monolith, and that's I guess where I draw the line at, or where I have a little bit of because this opens the door for anybody who previously didn't like church before to now be like, see, this is what we talking about. The church is like that. No, those churches that he actually portrayed are like that. Not every church is like that. So, but there's enough examples that it gives a mirror to the church as a whole for them to actually be aware of how they're being perceived. You know what I mean? Out in the world. So I've said on a previous podcast that I believe churches nowadays sometimes don't really, church in itself sometimes doesn't evolve right away with the times of the world. So they kind of leave Jesus where they met him. Jesus still got the stash and the robe and the sandals from Jerusalem and all that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? Versus like picturing Jesus with an iPhone. You know what I mean? So as churches try to assimilate and do things in a today's fashion, they also get criticized too. And it could be something as little as putting flat screen TVs in the hallways and having coffee in the vestibule and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Those type of things. Some songs that are now have like hip hopish vibes and stuff, which is just a style of music. It's not necessarily, you know what I mean? But like Kirk Franklin and all them have been criticized. Yolanda Adams has been criticized for bringing like an up-to-date form to that. So I think the line kind of gets crossed where instead of us laughing at those instances, we say, well, the church should be, and the church is that, because it's not. The church is not.
They address it as a whole.
Yeah. Any other criticism I want, because those churches should look at that and be like, ooh, like they said, hit dogs will holler.
As far as Drewski, I mean, I know none of y'all aren't like, fans of him. I think he's all right. I don't follow him or anything, but some of the skits I've seen, I thought they were funny. This current skit, the church skit, I thought it was cool. I mean, I knew when I saw that video, people gonna have outrage about it. I feel like people have outrage about everything. No matter what happens, no matter what you do, people gonna have a negative thing to say about it. I think what Charlamagne says, I think what he said, what he said, 40% of people will care about it. Other 40% will have 40% people will have a negative review about it. The other 40% will have a positive review about it. Then the other 20% won't even care. I won't even care what's going on. So, and I think I landed 20%. I'm like, well, whatever. I don't care. I just did not really care. I knew people were going to be mad about it because he was kind of, I guess, mocking, pastors. But I'm like, I don't care. But yeah, that was my take. I just didn't really have a feeling about it. It was just like, all right, Drewski just being funny. People just being a little oversensitive.
Drewski just Drewski.
Thank you so much for listening to the Brothers and Friends podcast. Do you want to chime in on this week's topic? Well, leave us a comment for us to discuss on a future episode. But in the meantime, please follow us on Spotify, YouTube, and Apple Podcasts. Peace.